Hi, hey, Russ here. Welcome back to my shop. I'm going to talk about bench dog anchors. We talked about bench dog holes and kind of some of the uses for them in the past. I showed you how you can take and use them as not only for bench dogs, but also you can just use it for storing tools on your bench. I have little trays that you can use it as a tray and keep something on. So bench dogs and bench dog holes actually are kind of handy. But now I'm going to show you something else you can do with them. It's called bench dog anchors. We all know what this is. This is used with the T-track. But I don't like to use T-tracks on my workbench. So what I did is I made what is called a bench dog anchor. And they're like this. And all it basically is it's a piece of wood, 2 by 2, and I cut the corners off it to make it octagon shape. Quick and easy, no big deal. It can be any size or any shape you want. And I took and I drilled a shallow 3/4 inch hole, just like the size of my bench dogs, so that the dowel fits in there. Then I take a T-bolt, like this, and I break the tabs off. And with them broken off, I put some CA glue on the bottom. I put that into the hole. And I tap this down in there, maybe, so that the glue will set up. Then I take my dowel and I have a hole drilled in it that's exactly the same size as the barrel on my T. And then you take this part and you drop it down over that barrel, put a little bit of crazy glue on there, put some glue on here so that it glues to the block, and then you put that in there, push it down all the way and bottom it out like it is here with the glue and everything. Then holds this whole thing, put it in your vise for a half hour to keep it clamped, and then between the crazy glue holding this T-track, the T nut, and the glue holding the rod, the dowel rod, you end up with a glorified wood knob. Then you can take, and I put a piece of sandpaper on it here, on this flat surface, and that's the surface it contacts, so that when it's in there all the way, it's not going to be able to turn. The sandpaper helps it from turning around, and you'll see why that's kind of handy later on. So now I have this, so I put this in from the bottom side into my dog hole, and then I tighten down my set screw just so they won't fall out, and that helps it from turning also. So now it's held in place. I can take my piece of wood that I want to hold down, and I take my holding pad. We all know what this is, right? We watched the video Holding Power. Okay. And that goes there. And you can take your hold down and this holds it pretty close in here without a T-track. It holds it through my bench dog hole. So now I want to really hold this down tight. I don't have another long bolt wing nut like this one, so we're just going to put a piece of ready rod in this one. And I'm going to double nut it, just that quick. It only takes a second to do it this way. And now I can use this one, slightly different, but on the same path of how I did that one. Put my hold down on there. Then I put my washer and my wing nut on it. And tighten it down. And now, with just a little bit of tightness here, now this thing ain't gonna move anywhere. I probably move the bench before I move this thing. This is really held down tight with these two hold downs and my bench dog holes. So you can actually hold a piece down using these. These bench dog anchors are actually very handy, and it's just another tool in your arsenal of how to use bench dog holes to your advantage. When you're done, they come out just that quick and easy. And you can take it off. And now it's back to being a workbench. It works pretty well. They're very handy. Most of the time I use the set screw to kind of hold it in place. It just really helps hold it so it doesn't fall out while you're using it. So the set screws are really handy to have on this also. They're easy to tighten and take back loose. I talked about these set screws in my Old Dog New Tricks video, if you want to know more about that. And I'm going to do an upcoming video on how to drill these holes straight and an exact size, and how to do anchors, how to do this set screw, not only on the outside perimeter holes through here, but how to do an inside hole at an angle so that you can lock it down using an inside bench dog instead of one on the outer edge. And that'll be coming out soon. I've got a couple of minor details to work out, and then I'll be getting that out. So we're not done with the bench dog thing. The other thing I can say is that when you look at that, you think, well, that's a little wimpy. How strong can that be? Well, no, it actually is pretty strong. But let's say you really want something strong. Well, let me show you my Arnold Schwarzenegger bench dog anchors. And they're right here. And that's what this is. I bought some ready rod, 5/8 ready rod, standard coarse thread. I think it's 11 TPI or 10 TPI, whatever the standard is. And I took a piece of 1/2 inch PVC and I tapped it with my 5/8 tap. And this actually threads right down on here then. Put a little CA glue at the bottom around where the nut went on and where this goes on. Screw it all together. Locked it together and let it dry. And it stays together now. That's all it takes. It doesn't take much. So then I made these, and they fit up into my hole. I'm sorry. I also had to take, and I put it in my lathe, and I ground these down to 3/4 of an inch so that they fit in the hole. So now the PVC pipe is permanently on here, glued in place, and it's exactly 3/4 of an inch so that it fits up into my bench dog holes just perfectly. I cinch it down with the set screw. And now you have the Arnold Schwarzenegger version of bench dog anchors. And these babies will hold about anything. So, what do you do with this? Well, let's say, for example, you want to hold down a 4x4 instead. Nice big piece. Take your holding pad, put it underneath, put this on here, and we're going to let this overhang because we want to work on it out here. So we bring this all the way out here. This is my block, sandpaper on the one side. So that goes onto my bolts. And I take my wing nuts that I made, and they go on like so. And now what I have is a Moxon vise, a horizontal Moxon vise. I'm holding my piece horizontally, and again, I could probably move this bench before this piece will move on there. Just that quick and easy, and only hand torqued it down in order to hold it in place, and this is not going anywhere. So the heavier anchors are much stronger and have a lot of capabilities, but they also can be used for making certain jigs. Let's say, for example, instead of using this as a hold down Moxon vise, what if we had a large piece of wood? We had 4 of these sitting here and had a piece of wood that's set underneath here, and we put our pieces under there and tighten them down, and you could use this as a veneer press with 4 of these set up. And now you've made a veneer press that you can use. So it can also be used as a veneer press. Also, just as an example, what if you took these, had 4 of them set up, 2 here and 2 over there, and now you put your wing nuts on under. your piece. And now you have a rail system here. And you adjust it so that it's measured and then set it so it's level. Do the same thing over there. You put a rail system from here to over down there. You have a rail system. You can set your router up there and go back and forth. Now you can put your piece of wood under here, plane it, move your piece of wood up, and plane it. So you can take up to a 40-inch wide piece of wood with 4 anchors and a rail system. You can take your router and plane down anything you want. Or if you really wanted to get elaborate, you could take this whole system and actually make a drum attachment that sets on here, and you adjust the height and you run your drum, and you can push a piece through and do drum sanding on extra wide pieces. So you can make yourself a nice drum sander using these same anchors. These are things that I'm thinking about now that I figured out to use these anchors and what I can actually do with them. Now that I'm starting to do things with it, I have some plans on how to do that. One of the first things I'm going to do is, if you've been following me on my legacy building series about my legacy mill, this anchor system on this bench top is exactly what I'm talking about for my legacy, my overhead milling machine. Because if I set one in this corner, one in that corner, on all 4 corners, I could take a rail system and put it on here, and then put a secondary rail system that sets on that rail system, so my router is now three-dimensional in all directions, and I can mill on top of here 3-dimensionally without any problem, very quickly and easily, based on these anchors. And when I'm done, I can lift my rail system off and put it away, and I have a workbench again. So I'll be able to use this bench as a workbench, and if I want to do something unusual and do some unusual milling, I can set this up in a matter of minutes and do some major milling with it also, is the theory. So that's what I'm working on. So for all those of you that are following me because of my legacy building that I keep talking about I'm going to do, this is the start. These are what I had in mind, and this bench top, to build my overhead router milling machine and be able to take it and put it on here, use it, and take it right back off when I'm done. And I think I'll be able to do the whole thing doing it this way. So stay tuned and you'll see what else we can do with it. So that's what anchors, bench dog anchors, that's what these are. That's what they're for. That's how you use them. If you have any questions about this, leave them below. I read all the questions and I try to answer them when I possibly can. Mostly I've been able to up to now. As far as making the small ones, they're pretty straightforward. All it really is I just take a piece of wood and a T-nut. I cut the corners off the piece of wood and I drill down. I drill a hole all the way through the size of this barrel, and I recess a 3/4 inch hole for the dowel rod. Then I take my dowel rod and drill a hole right down the center, again, the size of this barrel. And then all I do is I take this piece and I put it in there with a little super glue underneath it. I put this in there, like so, make sure it's perfectly straight. Actually, I break these tangs off, these pointers. I do break those off. They really will interfere trying to do this otherwise. Then I take my dowel rod that has the hole in it, put it onto the sleeve, push it down into the hole with glue around here with super glue on the metal part. So when you put it together between the super glue and the regular glue, that holds this thing together. Then you just take a piece of sandpaper and put it on here so that you have the grip surface here so that it doesn't turn while you're tightening and untightening your bench dog down or whatever it is you're using from above. This won't turn in the hole. So that's how you hold one of those in place. I did make the second one slightly different, and I probably should mention that because I don't know which way is the best way. They both have certain advantages to them. But this one here, I actually put the T-nut on the very bottom instead of inside. And this is probably stronger than this one, but I don't think this one will fail. But we're going to see. These are the first two I've made. I'm going to use these for a while. 2 is probably all I need right now. Up to. As I go along, I may revamp and make them again. Make them a little different. But this is a good base to start with for how you make bench dogs anchors for your bench. So, and actually most of these sort of things, tool holding, most things that I do, you don't need a whole bunch of bench dogs to do all these different things. One bench dog hole, one anchor is all you need to do hold downs on your bench to your bench dog hole. And so if you have a bench that you don't want to put a bunch of holes in, you only need to drill 1 or 2 to do most of the things you see me do here in one particular place. The idea behind bench dog holes everywhere allows you to use different areas of your bench instead. So it's up to you. Anyway, that's what a bench dog anchor is. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them below. If you haven't subscribed, you probably should. And please don't forget to like this video. If you put a dislike, that's okay. But please tell me why you dislike it so I know what to change. I do want to thank you for stopping by. And more importantly, please come back again soon. Okay? We'll talk to you soon. Bye.